Hey everyone, so it's the Unlikely Prepper, and I am going to go ahead and do another review. This one is on home butchering and meat preservation. It is by Geeta Dardick, and I have looked this one up on Amazon. This is not a cheap book. This one here that I have is hardcover. I don't think they make it in paperback, or if they do, they did not lower the price, because I found it for about $40 online. However, I will say this. I don't know that there are any other home butchering, meat preservation books out there that are as thorough as this one. So, it might be worth the money. This one here, I got it from the library. Still got the library tag on it right there. And I have to return it. It was due in November. But I will go over the basics of what they are explaining in there. They do give the, they have a first chapter that's all on the health benefits and the dangers of the commercial meat industry, and, you know, if you didn't realize that when you're raising animals that you also can get eggs and milk and manure and many other things, the animals, what they do for you besides providing the meat for you. They also explain that, you know, they will do some of the yard work for you as far as keeping the weeds down, the grass trimmed, brushed, things like that. Goes into what kind of animals you should be raising. So, I mean, obviously, if you're not a big beef person, and you don't do a ton of milk, and you don't have the extra feed for them, why would you raise cows? So, but it you know, they explain to you, you know, if really poultry's your thing, stick with chickens and geese and turkey and ducks and, you know, that kind of thing. They do explain they have an entire section for each animal, how to house ducks. They give, let me see if I can get to the section. They have a section where, for each of them, that they explain, you know, what the area should look like, the shelter area, the food areas, you know, in general, you know, what, like chicken coops, rabbit cages, rabbit hutches, pigs, and, you know, where to put their food, where to put their water on the property, things like that. They give a information on what age to slaughter, and I was unaware at how early they actually slaughter. Very few of those animals are older than 6 months. I think beef is probably the only one that makes it to 18 months. Other than that, most of them are under 6 months, and I think rabbits are only 2 to 3. They explain that the older the animal gets, the tougher the meat gets, and so from there they kind of explain, you know, what feed costs, what kind of fencing do you need, how many of them you should raise in terms of poundage for when it makes it to the table, because the last thing you need to do is only have half of what's actually necessary for a family of, say, 6. You know, if you only have a couple of cows and you're expecting these cows to feed you for, you know, 6 months, and it turns out it only feeds your family for 2 to 3, doesn't work out. So they kind of give you poundage of meat depending on animal, how much you need it for per person. And then they go into the sections of raising. They give a section on just how to raise chickens. Then another section that's just on raising rabbits. Another one that's just on pigs or goats, and they go on, and they're very specific about them. Some of the sections are kind of small, like rabbits, and then beef and lamb and goat, they go into significant detail on them. They even have a section on just if you're ready for it. They have a section that's just psychologically if you're prepared for it, which I have determined that I am not ready for that. I am ready to help take apart the already deceased animal, but at this point, I don't think I could be the one to end the animal's life. I suppose in an extreme case of hunger and starvation, I would do whatever is necessary to keep me and my family going. But I would hope that there would be another person around that could do it before me. So they have that. They give you a full listing of the equipment necessary, and the equipment necessary depending on the kind of animal that you plan on slaughtering. It's different killing rabbits compared to taking out a deer. So after that, they have an entire section. One chapter is just for poultry. Another one is just on rabbits. Then let's see, chapter 7 is just on butchering goats, sheep, and venison. And when I say that these sections, they're a good 20 pages. Let me see if I can go to one and kind of get an idea. They're going to go ahead and explain to you how to dispatch of the animal, which is the act of actually killing the animal. And then from there, they will, let me see if I can get to the start of a chapter. That'd be nice. And then from there, they will go ahead and get into more detail about hanging the animal, if it requires hanging, as like deer and such do. How to get the blood out of them, how to start skinning them, removing internal organs, and then explaining the cuts completely. This is a very thorough book, if nothing else. And just so you know, warning to all of the families out there, if you plan on getting this book, please either have already talked to your children about the act of doing this, or keep this book from them until you plan on doing so, and do not let the children just accidentally get a hold of this one. They do have some graphic pictures of actually dispatching the animals. Some people might say that that is not necessary, but I found that it does. I mean, you want to be effective. No one wants to torture the animal while they're, well, not any sane person wants to torture the animal in the process of trying to dispatch them. And so I found it helpful, but the pictures are hard to look at if you're not ready. If you've already done some butchering, like I know some of the guys out there on their channels, they have killed animals before, and they know how it goes. But if if you've only ever done deer and you want to find out about pigs, or you want to find out about doing cattle, it's completely different. So having this book on hand would be very helpful. Chapter 8 is just on pigs, and then chapter 9 is on veal and beef. And also at the end of these chapters, they do give recipes as well, bonus. And then they have sections that are on professional slaughtering and making a home business out of this. If you are, you're going gung-ho on this, and you're going all out, and you have enough, and you know that you can breed more and slaughter more and use that as trade for other materials once we're on our own, this book will help also explain that to you, how to make a living at it. Then they have separate sections on just freezing your meat, just on canning the meat, just on curing it. And they do have a section on building a smokehouse and how to smoke the meat, how to make salamis, how to do other cured meats. And then they have the last chapter is on meat byproducts, which is saving the skins, tanning the hides with the fur on, tanning with fur off, rendering the animal fats. A small section on making soap, the blood and feathers and odds and ends, how to essentially how to take care of everything, how to recycle, how to not have any waste. I feel like that's an important section to all this, especially for us where we want to be as wasteless as possible. You know, if you're going to end an animal's life, it better be for good reason, and there better not, you know, be a whole lot of waste in the process. You know, an animal did have to die for you to eat, and the least you can do for the animal's life is to also go ahead and make sure that you're making do with everything you possibly can. And you know, it doesn't sound like in the beginning a rabbit fur will do much, but if you save up and you've suddenly got yourself 5 rabbit hides, you might be able to sew those together and make something that could keep you warm at some point. You know, it doesn't even have to be, it's not like I'm saying go ahead and make a rabbit blanket or anything. You know, you could go ahead and do another layer underneath and sew a piece of fabric or you know, do some piece of yarn to it and sew it all together so that you're not sleeping, you know, skin to skin with a dead animal. But I found this book to be extremely helpful. It is well written. It is amazing how much detail is in here. Like I said, I could not find it very cheap. It was mostly, I think, around $40 for this book. But if you are serious about being the person who is going to be raising animals when it comes time, this is what you want. Let me see if I can get... Yeah, see, I know what I'm doing here. I can totally tell what I'm doing, huh? Yeah. So, check it out. It's by Geeta Dardick. I'll go ahead and put the name below. If you know other information about other books that are similar to this, don't hesitate to write about it below. I'm always looking for more information on this kind of stuff. And also, keep in mind, you're not just helping me, you're helping everybody else who goes to this review that wants to learn what I was explaining, and you can give them additional information. So if you know of a book that works better, let us know. If you know of a YouTube channel or a website or any kind of a blog, anything that gives additional information, don't hesitate to do that. So that's the end of this review for the home butchering book, and I hope it's helped you out. This is the Unlikely Prepper, out.